Hi there, this is Angie Carpenter, Islip Town Supervisor, and I would like to welcome you to this edition of Supervisor Spotlight here in the town of Islip at our wonderful airport, Long Island MacArthur Airport. And with us in the studio today, we are delighted to have with us the Commissioner of our Department of Environmental Control and the Resource Recovery Agency, and that is Jim Heil. Jim, welcome to the studio, and thank you so much for being so willing to do this today.
It's my pleasure to be here, Supervisor. Always a pleasure to deal with you.
Oh, isn't he sweet? He's trying to get on the good boy list for Christmas, I guess.
For Christmas, definitely, yes.
Well, tell us, it's interesting, the world that Jim deals with on an everyday basis is kind of foreign to most of us. We don't deal with it except to know that we put our garbage out and we come out and the pail's empty and you put it away and everything is all good. And I have to tell you that in our world, where we field calls from our residents all of the time about issues, good or bad, mostly things that they're not happy with, very, very rarely do we get calls about garbage collection. So you guys are doing a fine job, but tell us a little bit about what that entails and how many homes are we picking up for and how it all works.
Hopefully it works fairly well.
It does work fairly
except for
well.
an occasional blip, but we try and take care of those. It's the wonderful world of solid waste. It's something everyone in the town contributes to. It's a part of everyday life, and we put it out on the curb, and somehow miraculously it disappears. And it's gotten very complex over the past few years because of environmental regulations and concerns, and lack of space for landfills and concern about groundwater. So it starts with our collection process. We have 72 areas in town, and we contract out approximately 65 of those areas for private collection. We use natural gas trucks, so we are eliminating some of the carbon footprint for collection. And the other 7 districts are town-operated trucks. We collect solid waste 2 times a week. We collect recyclables 1 day a week, and then we do bulk. And we collect that's such as appliances, couches, any large objects we pick up, and we will collect e-waste, electronic waste 1 day a week along those same days. And in these times of the leaf season, we'll do yard waste collection.
So let me just ask you something. With the bulk collection, if there's appliances or furniture or the e-waste, is that a special phone call that people have to make to the town for that to
Generally,
be
if
picked
they
up?
put it out, we will collect it.
Okay.
Some of the other items, it'd be nice if they call just to make sure we do collect it. So, but generally, they go through the same routes. And lately, because of the economic conditions, we have competition because we have people that go around and collect the metal objects and take it to scrap dealers. So even though we feel a little bit bad about not using our services, we know it's going to recycling. So it's not too bad if someone else collects it.
Is there a special day of the week that kind of...
Generally, it's the second collection day. We'll do the bulk collection.
Okay, so if you're on a Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday...
It's usually Monday, Thursday, Tuesday, Friday.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it would be the second day of your
Yes.
particular collection schedule that you would put your bulk items out.
Yes, that has to be packaged in a certain degree, 4-foot length, so we can get it in the truck, bundled. You can't carelessly throw things out. You have to be of some concern for the collector.
So when they come to do a normal collection, if there is a stove out there, say,
Yes.
are they able to handle that, or do they need a notice ahead of time?
No, we can handle those stoves. The trucks are big enough to handle that, or we'll send a special truck out to collect
Oh,
it.
okay, okay.
And that goes to recycling. It goes to our wrap facility up in Bohemia, and is segregated, and will go off to a scrap dealer.
So with the recycling center, that's another area that you're overseeing.
Yes.
We have a number of events over the course of the year at that center, correct?
Yes, we have Household Hazardous Waste Day, where if you have chemicals under your sink or in the closet or down in the basement, or your parent or grandfather passed away and you go out in the garage and you go, what is all that stuff?
Right.
What are all those bottles? What are all those interesting packages? You can package them up and bring them, and they will get treated as hazardous waste and take securely packaged and sent to a hazardous waste disposal facility rather than getting thrown in the normal waste stream.
So people don't have to wait for those special collection events that we do once or twice a year. They can bring them to you, correct?
Yes, they can come down any day of the week to the wrap facility on Lincoln Avenue and drop them off, and we have a separate storage facility for those materials, and periodically the waste haul will come in and repackage them and take them to the secure disposal facility.
So I just want to make sure I have this right. The hazardous materials, we really encourage people to bring them in and not
Yes.
just commingle them with your
Right.
normal garbage.
Definitely.
Because, we all have a responsibility of leaving this earth better than we found it, or at least in
Yes.
the same condition that we found it.
That's true, and there's so many more complex chemicals out in the environment now that we want to be careful about how we dispose of them. Nature used to be able to take care of most of the stuff we threw away because it was natural, but with all these man-made chemicals and different compounds, it takes, you just can't break them down by nature, so they have to be adequately handled. And that would be pesticides, cleaners, herbicides, sometimes munitions, any kind of old chemical sets. There's a whole variety of materials that encompass these things. And if there's any doubt, bring them down anyway.
What about paint cans?
Well, the main thing is lead-based paints, which is being phased out. But once again, if you go into a garage and there are paint cans and it says lead-based, you can bring them down. If they're the current type of paints, you can just open the can and let it dry out and throw it in the regular waste
you
then.
can? Okay.
Yes.
So, and those labels are clearly
Those are latex.
marked. It
Yeah, the
will
latex
say if
paint,
it's
yes.
latex or water-based paint.
Yes.
It'll say it on there.
Yes.
Well, I know back, as we're talking about that, I'm thinking about what's in my garage, and there are paint cans, and just recently I thought I was going to touch up a mark on the wall, and I went to what I thought was that can of paint, and I opened up the lid, and it was like one solid mass.
Yes.
So that was pretty safe to say I could throw that in with,
Yes,
with the
definitely.
trash.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's been interesting what turns up on some of these stop days, especially from houses that haven't been occupied, and they go in and clean them out, and the old materials, the DDT, and things like that. So it's always fascinating to see what does come in.
Yeah.
So-
Well, especially if you get a house that is inhabited by a hoarder.
Yes.
I'm sure that you get a lot of interesting kind of
Yes.
collectibles.
And then we also have shredding days that if
Mm-hmm.
you have personal papers, you can come in. It's twice a year, and generally we take care of you very fast. You just come in and you give us the material, your paper items, and you can even watch it get shredded. It's shredded on site. We have 4 trucks that come in and process the material almost right away. And if you want to watch to make sure that that's where it went, we'll take care of that for you.
So with the shredding, that is just on those special days.
Those 2
that
special
you
days,
can't-
yes. But if you call, generally if you watch libraries, they have special days, some
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a
banks
lot of
do. A
people
lot
are
of
doing
public
that now.
service do the shredding now, yes.
I've been down there when you've had shred day.
Yes.
And it's amazing. Hundreds and hundreds of people.
Yes,
The line moves so quickly. And it's great to bring the family down because the kids get to see what happens with that material. Because these trucks, the side of them is kind of opened and you can see the shredding all taking place.
right, you can see the shredding taking place and the material goes right in those trucks and then it is disposed of via the shredding firm. And it's all done very, very securely.
And it's a great service for our residents. And
Yes.
I know you do a good job of letting people know about it. And we try to put it up on the website. It's a good thing to do. And in this day and age with identity theft and everything, it is so important that people really do dispose of their documents in a very safe and secure fashion. And you guys are helping do that.
It's the way waste management has sort of adapted to current conditions.
Okay, well, thank you for that, and we're going to take a little bit of a break,
Good.
and we'll be back here in the studio with our Commissioner of DEC. Hi there, it's Angie Carpenter here in the studio at Long Island MacArthur Airport. Long Island News Radio, very gracious to allow us to use their studios. And we're here today at Supervisor Spotlight with one of our commissioners, and that is Jim Heil, who is the commissioner of DEC and the Islip Resource Recovery Agency. We were talking a little bit about garbage pickup, but I'm not sure that we spoke about exactly the enormity of, we're a large town, the third largest town in the state of New York, with 330 some odd thousand residents. That's an awful lot of garbage stops. So how many exactly?
I think we have approximately 80,000 that between the private carters on the contract and our own trucks service. And it's, as I said before, 3 to 4 days a week we'll provide direct collection services to these houses for the variety of materials.
It seems, it appears to be seamless. It just happens. I mentioned earlier that we very rarely get complaints about it. But it's not all that easy. If you think about it, especially this time of the year when it's really getting bitter cold out there and the guys are on the truck, and even in the summer when it is so hot and they're out there hanging off the side of the truck, jumping on and off and dumping pails in, putting them down and going on to the next stop. It's not that safe an occupation. And just recently, the commissioner participated in a little event we had at Town Hall in support of some legislation that was passed in New York State. We are the 11th state in the country that has passed this legislation, and it is Slow Down and Move Around, I believe is what the title of it is. But the governor has been very supportive and signed it into law. And there are penalties, and it's treated just the same as driving around a school bus. You've got to slow down, and stickers are on the trucks now. And talk about how difficult it can be to be doing that kind of job.
From a personal experience, because I did do a tour of duty with the village of Flora Park on the back of a truck. And it's tough because people approach a garbage truck and they know it's going slow, and the immediate urge is to get around it and watch for cars coming down. And so your eyes are diverted from the men on the truck who are doing their duty, emptying cans, and you're more focused on what traffic is coming, and you tend to speed up and get around and avoid the whole thing instead of getting behind it. So the legislation is very appropriate because we are the fifth most industry with the most
I was
dangerous
startled when I heard that.
Accidents. And even in my tenure, I think I was on when I worked for the town of Hempstead. Within 2 weeks, I was visited and told to go to the hospital to visit one of my men that lost 2 legs because the car just pushed him into the back of the truck. So and working there, you're sort of focusing on getting rid of the cans and doing this, and even men, some get diverted. So it is a dangerous situation, and even these times now with darkness in the morning. And our whole focus is to get out into the route, get the garbage picked up, and get off the road before main traffic conditions, so we don't cause too much of a problem. And that's why we operate fast. And sometimes that's a conflict with safety. So we have to, on both sides, be increasingly aware of these issues. Both the people outside, so they're aware that we're providing the service, and our own men to have to be careful and alert and wear their proper clothing and reflective gear, and we stress that as much as we can.
At this event that we had, focusing on the legislation and trying to bring attention to it, it was interesting because there were leaders of the industry who were in attendance, and they shared those startling statistics about it being the 5th most dangerous occupation. But there's a whole education process that has to take place, and even with new drivers, those going to get their driver's license for the first time now are going to be educated to the fact that this is all part of motor vehicle law now, that you have to slow down when you approach a garbage truck.
Yes.
And I know at the event, we had our commissioner or our director of labor relations and personnel, Arthur Abadi, who is also the town safety officer. And I know he takes it very, very seriously. And all of us, want to make sure that our employees are safe at all times. And whenever there is an event, and it happens sometimes that one of our people may be involved in something, Arthur is immediately dispatched there. And not only, do we make sure that, or he makes sure that everything is right and our employee is safe, but then afterwards is a debriefing to see why an incident happened and how we could prevent it, because that's what it's all about, making sure that we do keep our people safe.
Yes, and he does a very good job, and we try and keep up those good statistics that we are, less and less of accidents on the road and with the men.
Yeah.
So,
but it takes
important.
work. It takes work. It
Definitely.
really, really does. Some of the other issues that you touched on it a little bit when you spoke about your duties as a commissioner, and as part of what you have to deal with is the landfill. And, people hear the term landfill, but exactly what is a landfill,
Landfill started out as holes in the ground on the edge of town where people, instead of throwing their garbage out on the street or out a window, there was efforts to bring it to central locations for at least centralizing the material. When I sort of got in the industry, I worked for the county health department, and one of my jobs was to go out to the various towns who had multiple landfills that were open burning. They just had the garbage, and someone sort of threw a match in it and whatever, took some scrap materials out. People came and browsed. I was trying to get that under control for the prevention of disease, control of rodents. So that was the initial stages, put the fires
so how
out.
far back was that environment in place?
It's not that bad. It was in the mid-'60s.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
I
we've
remember,
come a long way.
Come a long way, yes. And I think, the garbage barge, which is a sort of an Islip.
It's an Islip
related-
phenomenon.
Yes.
Yes.
That really focused a lot of attention on solid waste, to the actual improvement of it all. So the regulations came fast and furious, and they're still coming to control waste, control what's in the waste, try and get more recycling done, waste reduction, and it's something that we're always being kept up with.
Well,
So-
I know that your department and your entire team takes that whole thing very, very seriously. The environment is precious, and when it's damaged or violated, it's very hard to remediate. So it is important to engage upon that education process. I know that the town has been very, very committed to it for a very, very long time. And, you mentioned the garbage barge, and it's our little piece of infamy, I guess, in the town. But I firmly believe that out of everything negative, something positive happens. And even before the barge, the town of Islip embarked upon recycling in a very, very serious fashion. We had a recycling program in place. And I can remember some of my volunteer efforts, as a member of the community, as a member of the Chamber of Commerce, was working very closely with the town at the time in educating the public to the importance of recycling, to the importance of issues like that. And maybe when we come back after the break, we can talk a little bit about the town's recycling
Yes.
efforts and where we've come and where we plan on heading.
Great.
Okay.
Because we need to chat about it.
Okay, sounds good. We'll
Thank
be
you.
back in a few moments with Commissioner Jim Heil at the studios here in Islip Airport for Supervisor Spotlight. Welcome back to Supervisor Spotlight. I'm Angie Carpenter, Supervisor of the Town of Islip, here in the studio with Commissioner Jim Heil from the Department of Environmental control in the town of Islip. Very onerous sounding, very important, and it really, really is.
But
you
fun.
know, pardon me?
But fun.
But fun. And he makes it fun, and that's what's so great about it, because I am positive that there are people out there in your field, and I'm not meaning to disparage anyone, who don't come to work every day with the idea that they're really having a good time and really trying to do a good job and doing a good thing. And, you know, we talked and joked a little bit about the Islip barge and our little piece of infamy in Islip, but really, I think that it was a moment in time that we as the town had an opportunity, and we did, because I remember being involved at the time only as a community member in our recycling program. Even before the barge happened, we had the WRAP program in place. And at the time, that acronym stood for Wednesdays Recyclables Are Picked Up, and to this day, that's when it's Recycle Day in the town. And I can remember offering up a suggestion that we might want to change that and have it something a little bit sweeter sounding, like We Recycle America Proudly. And that's quite frankly what it is now. And that was back in the late 70s, early 80s that I offered that up to the then Supervisor Frank Jones. But even then, we partnered with Keep America Beautiful and Keep Islip Clean. We established KIC,
Yes.
Keep Islip Clean, which is over 25 years old. We have junior KIC commissioners, so we're getting young people involved, and there's a ceremony once a year. And we are actively involved in your department is with Keep Islip Clean, Nancy Cochran, working closely with them on initiatives.
Yes, we are. Yes, and it's an important program, and education is important. Every day we have to sort of stress that recycling works. People get a little blasé about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do that. It all goes in the back of a garbage truck and all those stories. But it works, and we need it because it reduces the amount of waste we actually have to dispose of. All those materials,
Which is costly.
Yes.
And in this environment, when people are so sensitive to the cost of living here on Long Island, and we are an island, waste would have to be trucked off.
Yes.
And whatever we can recycle and reuse, in the long run, it saves the taxpayer.
Yes, we do many aspects of it. Even the garbage, the normal household garbage, it doesn't get landfilled. It goes to a waste energy plant right here at the airport, where it's burned and converted to electricity with very stringent air pollution control systems on it. We've operated for years without any kind of incidents, and we burn about 130,000 tons of waste and generate electricity, which is not fuel or oil
Right.
or depleting natural resources. It's something we would have to landfill and truck, but we get the resources back. So we're recycling that waste. The waste that's put out on recycling day, the plastic containers, glass, tin, aluminum, all go to a central facility. They're separated, and they all go off to further processing on the island. So newspaper goes to a recycling facility that will ultimately be used in corrugated cardboard or other paper products. The aluminum is recycled into virgin aluminum, and reused plastics are separated to the various types, and we get income from that. All our markets are positive now. They're not as good as they used to be, but we still offset some of our costs by selling them. And it's important to reduce the waste stream, get it through recycling, and keep from using virgin materials for those things. The yard waste that people put out goes to a compost facility in Ronkonkoma, and that material is sold. We've sold over, I think, 300,000 tons of compost over the last year. And once again, income to the town. So all these things we are reusing, we are recycling, the system works, and it's important that all our residents participate.
We need them to buy in. We
Yes.
needed to buy in. And, we really, listening to Jim talk about the kinds of things we've done over the past years, we really have been leaders in this field. The
Yes.
town has. And I don't know that we've necessarily tooted our own horn enough about it. And everything old is new again. And we started the program here in West Islip, in the town of Islip. And I think it's time, and we have been making inroads in that endeavor. I know that right now one of your key people is working closely with one of the school districts in developing a pilot program to bring that whole maybe curriculum, if you will, back into the schools, because it really has kind of lost focus.
Yes.
And it's understandable with the pressures that are there in the schools now with Common Core and, stringent kind of demands on performance and evaluation and everything else that the schools are facing nowadays. It's still very, very important that we focus our attention and education on this whole idea of recycling, because it really sustains us
Yes.
going forward into the future.
And it's certainly going to be around for a while.
Yep.
And it's an important program.
It is, and stay tuned. You will see and be hearing more about recycling. I want to, before we wrap up, and we don't have a heck of a lot of time left, but I did want to talk about something else that you're responsible for, and there are so many people that this is so near and dear to their hearts, and that's our animal shelter. And, Jim and his team oversees the animal shelter, and there have been some changes over the recent past, and really much to the betterment of the shelter. Things are really working well, and tell us a little bit about what's going on at the shelter.
Always fascinating, even more interesting than solid waste at times. We've tried to do a number of improvements, both in personnel and physical aspects of the plant, to improve it, to make it a little bit more hospitable. And it's reflected in a number of adoptions. The number
They've
of
gone
pet
up.
adoptions
Yep.
are going up. Number of complaints are going down. We are trying to do a trap, neuter, return policy for feral cats. It's a little slow getting implemented, but we think we're making a progress, and I think we'll have a good
and
program.
you have, and I do want to thank you for that. I know that has been an issue that not a lot of people, but there have been a number that have been very, very passionate and concerned about it. And the commissioner, again, and his team have addressed it, working with one of the not-for-profit agencies in developing a trap, neuter, and return program in the town of Islip. And, the agreements have all been, agreed to. And, I know you are moving forward with that, and we're very much appreciative of that.
I'd also like to mention that we do have plans for a new shelter.
That's on the wish
New
list.
and improved shelter, and we're very pleased to go over the initial plans just on Monday. And it looks great. It looks like it'd be an economic structure, not a monument to the commissioner and the town board.
No, we don't work that way.
We don't. And the layout looks good. We're going to go take it to staff now and get the inner workings
input,
worked out, and we hope that will go well.
Well, that's great to hear, because, too often projects are embarked upon, and the people that are, working on it go forward and don't engage the staff and the people that are going to be using the building, using the facility, whatever it is. So to hear that you're working with your staff and reviewing plans and what their needs are is really crucial, because in this day and age of sensitivity to the taxpayer dollar, we want to be absolutely certain that we are spending every single penny in the most judicious fashion possible.
No,
And I know that you've been doing that, and I really want to say publicly here how much we appreciate your efforts and the fact that you came down here today.
Well, thank you, and thank you for your guidance and
Oh,
interest.
well, thank you. You've been just a delight to work with, and looking forward to many more years with our Commissioner of DEC, hint, hint. And thank you so much for those of you who took the time to listen and tune in, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.